Happy everybody, welcome to AstrorisaMoon Talk Radio, and this is AstrorisaMoon Talk. We're doing an inspirational oracle reading for the Sun in Gemini. Sun in Gemini is May 21st through June 20th. So whether you're a Gemini Sun, Moon, first house, fourth house, if Mercury is just very influential in your life, or Gemini is influential in your life, this is what we're doing today, a Gemini reading. This has nothing to do with the upcoming moon forecast for the Sun, Moon in Gemini for the month. This is just something a little different. You all said how much you enjoyed these cards here. These are very good cards. These are the Trust Your Vibes cards. So I like them. They're real stiff. They're hard to shuffle. So what we're looking for, I've always open up and do prayer before I do any kind of reading, whether it's priest, shell readings, OB, cards. It's always good to do that, so you are speaking into existence who you want to work with on a divine level, and not just do your cards. Some people, they'll just throw cards and they may say a prayer for another type of reading that they're doing, another system they're using, but for the cards, I've seen some people, they just go ahead and just break out the cards, but you're still connecting to spirit, because all of these are just tools. But ultimately, you're calling down the divine. So you want to make sure that you are identifying who you are wanting to speak with. So being an ancestral priestess and a priestess of Yamaja, I call on the elevated ancestors for the collective consciousness and or Orisha. Now we're going to leave that one. So last shuffle. Okay. Okay, what is our message for? Oh, why do I keep pulling that? Why do we keep pulling it? Because when I pull for myself, I don't get walk it off. But when I'm pulling for the collective, I get that a lot. Walk it off. All right, my people, this is our message for this sun time with the sun in Gemini. To walk it off, learn, and instant feedback. The other times when I've pulled this card, walk it off, and it was referring to possibly a need to go into nature, clear your mind or something like that. And in this case, I'm going to say, because I'm getting a different message with this walk it off, it's about the Gemini energy is one where it's extreme mental and it's an extremely mental energy. The mind is constantly going. And so with this walk it off, this is saying more so that there needs to be a balance in that energetic field, that mental energetic field. The Gemini energy tends to overthink a situation, and it does that a lot of times to its own detriment, because there isn't a balance in the process of giving attention to whatever it is you're thinking about. So for this amount of time, we're talking about May 21st to June 20th. This is a good time to bring a balance to mental energies. You can look at this picture here and you see 1 foot behind and 1 foot forward. That is a balancing between the emotion and the mental. Okay, these two different psychic energies. You can look at that card that way if you want to meditate on that card and slow the process of extreme movement on the mental plane and bring it to a movement of steady pace. Like when a person is walking, they're not running, they're not on a speed bike, they're walking. It's a constant rhythm. That rhythm of movement can be in sync. And so the mental process for this month is a time for us to bring our mental energies, we're here, we're there, we're everywhere, we're multitasking, whatever the case may be, but to bring it into a steady rhythmic movement of thinking. And what a person can do who has that Gemini, that erratic Gemini energy that's just all over the place, you can actually use this card here and imagine that your mind is just moving at a steady, slow, but constant pace to begin to train the mind to slow down a bit. And if you need to focus on one thought, and focus on that one thought, but at the same time, just see a movement. It could be a wheel, it could be feet moving, just something that's steady. It's not fast. And see your mind visualizing this constant, steady, rhythmic movement. You can even use music if you want to while you're doing that. So this first card is saying to me that during this time we should be doing some type of meditation to help bring a constant balance through repetition, but rhythmic repetition with our mind. And then we have the Learn card. Well, you know, Geminis, they love information. The Gemini itself, I'm not even going to really associate this with saying Geminis, because we're talking about the sun being in Gemini. So it's influencing all of us in some kind of way. But the Gemini energy loves, it really enjoys information. So with this card here, it's saying that instead of looking outside of ourselves for information, this is a mercurial energy, information such as the news and the TV, things that are being told to us from an outside source. This is a good time to instead focus on information that comes from a soul force or a soulful place, which is then we're looking inside. Again, it's talking about possibly for some another way of meditation. So it's time then to learn how to connect to our own inner voice, possibly for this time. This is a good time to seek more spiritual answers and spiritual information. And again, looking past or looking beyond reading a book, even reading a book on spirit. But instead, why not focus on what your own inner soul self says? So you could ask your own higher self a question and see what information comes to you in the dream time, or if you just sit and imagine a blank canvas and see what pictures come up. But what this is telling me is that with this sun in Gemini, for those that want to work with this energy, this is a good time to retrain how we actually process information, and also how skilled or how well trained or not our mental capacities are. And if we've never really thought about that, then this is a good time to start thinking about, wow, how strong or how much control do I have over my mental gymnastics, for instance. Then we have instant feedback. And instant feedback, again, is dealing with some form of information. So, in the process of training our mental gymnastics, and in the process of deciding how we're going to retrieve information from the inside out as opposed to the outside in, then we're looking at the instant feedback, meaning, in this case, our intuitive channels. And so with that, how much do you trust yourself? Your intuitive channels. How much do you trust that what your higher self says? I'm not even going to mention spirit guides. I'm going to talk about your soul self, your soul force, you, your Yoruba, your Ori Inu, your higher self, you yourself. We look to everybody else to give us information, and there's nothing wrong with that. But during this month time, because there's an imbalance between what your intuitive soul self is telling you as opposed to what the outside world is telling you. Practice, exercise your intuitive skills during this Gemini sun time. That's something that you can do. You can get some cards with pictures on them, or a magazine with pictures on them, and you are familiar with the different pictures that are on the pages. You choose a couple of pages You can close the book, flip the book, the pages, telling yourself, okay, the next picture is going to be an orange if there's an orange on any of those pages. And possibly there's an orange. But that's a skill that you can use to begin to develop your intuitive skills. You can use cards, any kind of cards, anything that has pictures on it. And just say, be still for a minute, take a few breaths, and begin to trust your intuitive skills. Now, the first few times you do it, maybe the first 100 times you do it, you might be off, depending on how open you are or how connected you are to your own soul force. But over time, and we're talking about almost 30 days. Well, 30 days? Yeah. If you practice this, then you'll begin to notice that you begin to hit the mark more and more during this time. So what Spirit is telling me through this reading here is that all of us should take a break from looking outside of ourselves for so much information at this time and begin to connect to our own soul self and begin to strengthen our own intuitive abilities. Because obviously we're going to need that as we move through these months. So this was actually a helpful, I hope, intuitive yet somewhat inspirational reading for this Gemini sun time. And we're going to get ready to do another reading for you all in just a moment. So until next time, remember to know your truest self, Father Moon. Take care.